Hello, dear souls. We need to talk about your use of these gifts, about your misuse, about your non-use, and about your actual use. And we must tell you how proud we are of you for reaching toward us in the first place. You may feel that there are multiple of us who say that they also feel the same and that they second this. There are many, multitudes, legions of us who every time one of you reaches toward your gifts erupt in joyous cheers with our arms up in the air. And we are so excited every time you reach out for your gifts and that connection to us, for we have been waiting so long for humanity to realize this. There was a time when so many openly used their gifts and taught their children, and this was the way that it was, and it was so beautiful. It was the way of being that allowed us to help you so much. And although not all listened to or took our advice, we were so happy to have it heard and experienced. Dude, you're so rude. That's the level of respect that cat has for quite literally everyone. My bad, back to it. We're like, get back to it. Got the impression of like patiently waiting with hands like this. And that was a golden time of humanity and spirit in unison working together. And we were so close. And although it was not perfection, it was the approachment of enlightenment that some of you dream of now and remember, and it pulls from your soul and frustrates you that humanity is not there now, that you can't get there now. And we would have you know it is not a you issue. It is a soul issue. The piece of you in the body, the part that is bound by the current consciousness level of this planet, of the people, and you can't rise too far above because you must be part of it. You cannot be separate from it. You can teach, you can rise above a little, but you cannot rise so far above as to be outside of the bounds of the current spiritual consciousness level of humanity as a whole. But we are here for you, and we're waiting for you, and we haven't gone anywhere. And we have far more patience than you. We don't get so impatient that we leave like humans do. We don't need that distraction. We have plenty to keep us occupied, and our brains work differently, our minds work differently than yours. Similar to your ADHD, we hold many thoughts and energies and lines of thought at the same time. So we have plenty to donate to you, and patience abound to wait for you to pass the baton to yourself in every incarnation, knowing that you're getting closer to the finish line and you can move on to a different journey, path, game. Because it's not really a race, it's a game. It's fun to see how far you can get from one life to the next. It's fun to see how developed You can go from one life to the next, and it's fun to see how likely you are to help yourself and others with this. And we are so excited every time someone reaches for us, someone connects to what you would call your gifts. We don't see it as a gift, and we would argue that it is a natural part of your progression to understand that this part is intrinsically built and buried underneath the humanity. Once you get past the humanity, you understand how much more there actually is to you, to your being, and to your wholeness as it relates back to us, spirit, as you call us, as a whole, the all that is, and the closest to the grand creatrix herself, that divine energy some of you would call source or God or mother, origin. We would just call her and ourselves the all that is. For although she birthed us in her image, which meant unconditional love and the release of control. For we don't have ego on this side. We don't get upset with you and spiteful. We know we have nothing to fear and that we are always safe. So you see tragedies on your planet, and we see lessons being learned in the way that your current consciousness is choosing to have them be learned. That it is a group decision, and then you rail and scream and argue against us, but you also reach for a better way, and for that we rejoice. For the lesson is learned, and the information reaches a higher level, the actions reach a higher level, and therefore the behaviors reach a higher level. And as you guessed it, we are on that higher level and easier to find. For we reach out to you with the same intensity that you reach out to us, and that will never change. We will always continue the reach, as we hope you would as well. We hope, but we don't control. We push, but we won't do it for you. We guide, but we can't take the action, even though we root for you. And we mourn with you. And we look for the day with our highest hopes that humanity leaves behind these ways of isolation and control and the pain of being separated, that humanity will look at each other as complete equals, that land is completely equal, that borders and boundaries and labels and boxes are unnecessary, but instead we help each other in the best way we can as possible, doing the best, not only with what you have available, but listening to us so heavily, you do the best with what we have available too. I have been in your shoes of humanity, and I know the darkness that lurks there, the pain, the sorrow, the grief, the greed, the jealousy. I know how it feels to be separated from all of this beautiful lightness. And I know how it feels to return home time and time again after getting it wrong and sometimes getting it right. And we would have you know, we understand that we have limitless options, but when you are in a human body, you feel like you are limited. We would also have you know that you are not a limited being on the inside, that although you must play by the rules and bounds of this dimensionality, you can still create more amazing, magnificent things than you thought possible if you got your brain out of the way and thought like spirit for just a few minutes. 3 is wonderful, 5 is magical, 10 is magnificent. If you can imagine the best for yourself and for others, you are doing your work as a spiritual being. And if you are shining your light at the same time, it's perfection. For that's all we ask of you. We do not ask blind trust or fealty. We ask that you trust what we have shown you. And what we have shown you is that there is no reason to fear us. Although we understand that it feels like there could be, or there is reason to fear each other. Because being a human is exceedingly difficult, and we understand this. We know this, which is why there's so many of us on your side. So many of us stepping in to help you. Thousands of legions of beings from all over lending their support, their special ways of utilizing energy to help you in all things, big and small. And we would have you know that to us there is no such thing as big or small. There is no scale. There is either connection or there is not. There is use of that which lies often dormant inside of you, or there is not. There is listening and talking and connection, or there is not. We don't see it in levels. We don't see it as work put in ingredients and gradients. We don't see it as a hue of ever lightening or darkening. To us, it just is, and we would have you simplify your way and words with us to honor and respect that understanding that for us, there are many paths and many ways that lead to the same destination, and all of them, regardless of how they look, are honored because they all eventually lead to the light. And your search for enlightenment is not a destination, it is an ever approachment to your light inside, to using what she would call your sixth sense, and we would agree, in earnest and honesty daily, or as often as you can. Because we really do just want to help you, and we really do see more than you, bigger. We see the whole of a situation, including the before and the after. Trust us. We just want to make your world better and help you make yourself better too. Because better people don't hurt people, and this will be contagious for all of humanity. Faster spreading than even COVID. And that is all. If you have questions, I am happy to help you. Just reach out right before you go to sleep when your defenses are down. I listen out for humanity, and I love humanity because I was there for so long. And I choose now to be a caretaker of humanity. I always will be, and that will never change as long as humanity is alive, even if it's just one human. which is not very likely. So we're going to give me a couple minutes, and then I feel the knocking. I can feel the knocking on the door. This is an invitation to the void. We would have you step inside with us for just a moment. We would have you breathe in the blackness and allow it to surround you. Don't be afraid. Blackness does not mean evil, you silly things, you silly creatures. You're so beautiful and you shine so lovely. We would have you step into the void with us. Let me hold your hand and help you in. Let me see you for who you are and let you see yourself for who you are. Step into that place of creation with me, gentle, slow. Let me lead you and look down at yourself. See how brightly you shine here. Do you even recognize yourself? Here, let me get the mirror here to show you the true reflection of who you are inside, of what you are inside, of the way you shine and how you are known by your light and your song of all on this side. And let's do work together. Playful work. It won't hurt you. Don't be afraid. Let me pull your hand and guide you in so gently, like wading into dark water, but you're floating, not swimming. There's no effort from you required here. I have you safe and sound. Remember, you are safe, you are sound. And now, I want you to look at the expanse of time. Look at your path underneath your feet and watch how the path spreads out. And see the branching lines of decision and choice. Notice some branch out and come back to the main path, and some create their own main path. But notice they are not wrong. Notice they're not bad, for that's not how we see it here. This place of the void would honor your path however you choose it to be, but choose wisely, knowing that there are consequences and after effects for everything. For this space has bigger cause and effect energy than even your world. You have quite a bit. Start looking down your path and highlight the one that calls to your wants, your desires. Notice how much it branches, like the brachiole of your lungs getting smaller as it continues to break off from the original path. Notice how it lights up, but it still leads to the end of the bright light tunnel of home. Notice they all lead back to home. None of them just terminate. It's impossible to just terminate. We would have you see that none of your choices lead to a dead end. Instead, they lead to even more beautiful choices. They lead to choice, something you humans take for granted. And we would have you see the magnificence of today. Notice your choice. And now I'd like you to look down at my path. Do you see the straight line? Not a lot of choices, are there? Because I live in spirit, and all of my decisions are in line and perfect alignment with the all that is the whole and the grand creatrix's scheme, all in line with her. And that is what calls me and my wants, and what feels good to me is to answer that call. But as human, you have so many choice free of our mother's call. And we know it can feel confusing and frustrating. And you know you forgot something important. We forget nothing here. We remember the all. But we also see humanity and the human lifespan as a great adventure, a fun game to play that results in expansion and enlightenment of our very soul, which feeds the grandmother. And that information spreads to all of us, and there's so many beautiful, wonderful things to learn through the eyes and experience of others. I have learned so much through watching you grow. In every incarnation, from a squalling, helpless babe, covered in the insides of your mother, in the beauty that she grew you in, to support and care for you, the ultimate act of giving up herself for you. To an awkward teenager, unsure of oneself and feeling the pull that there must be more. To an elder who needs help to walk, to move, and remembers their lives in the blink of an eye, as if all of time could fit in an acorn shell. And how beautiful the entire experience is. Time and time again, I have watched you with such awe and love, such compassion, as you've shown me and taught me so much I didn't know about myself through your eyes. And you have expanded me, and because of that, I want to show you something beautiful here in this void. I'm going to have to wipe away this path for just a moment. But don't worry. It's up here, and you'll never lose it. Don't worry. I have you safe. No stress. I promise. I love you, and I'm not going to hurt you. Don't be afraid. If I was going to hurt you, I would have by now. Because it would have been easier. But I have no such desire, no such plan, and it doesn't fit the alignment of this space to harm another, for I would be harming myself, and I love myself too much to do that. Your fear and your judgment is misplaced, my dear. I want to show you something beautiful. Do you see this dot I'm placing on the wall? This is you. And I want you to see what happens when you shine your light, just for an hour, as you move through your day. Do you see the other dots that branch out from you? Just a couple. Now what happens when you shine your light for an entire day? Do you see how many more dots there are? And notice that some of those dots branch off to other dots. You see, my darling, you are contagious. Absolutely, beautifully, wonderfully contagious, as my friend said. That light, though, that piece of yourself inside that remembers, glows so brightly. And look at everyone around you who gets that glow, and look what they do with it. Not everyone shares their light as you light them up. Some choose to keep it for themselves, and we would honor that action. Although you may see it as selfish, we still see it as honoring the self, and we love that. Beautifying the self and the interior is a wonderful endeavor. Just as wonderful as stepping outside of one's skin to tell the whole, your brothers and sisters here, how beautiful your experience was. Just as beautiful as teaching and spreading and having that light spread further. Notice how much we don't judge here. Doesn't that feel good? Doesn't that feel nice to be able to leave that for just a moment? This is also my gift to you. Peace in just a few moments. Just a few moments of joy, love, and being surrounded by the comfort of home, of the grandmother who loves us all as she loves herself, without judgment or comparison or control. Back to the wall, darling. Notice what happens when you spread your light every day for a week, and a month, and a year. Look how far that light goes, how much brighter it is. Notice it pulses with life because it is life. Life here and life beyond. Recognize this, my darling. You'll need it later. When your ego comes up and has you tight again, and you fight against this human side of you that would tell you you're not safe or good enough, remember this image and remember the peace you feel with me, the love you feel, and remember how real it is, that it's not going anywhere, because it can't. It's part of you. What you're feeling is not your light. It's your soul. It's your highest self. It's your connection to the Great Mother. You're feeling who you really are and living a life of pure expression of you. What you would call authentic, we would call magnificent. Take this image with you, and I will call on you again. I will see you in your dreams, and I will remind you of the peace you felt here, of the love and joy you felt coming off of me. I will remind you of who you really are, and I will gladly hold up that mirror for you in this beautiful space of the void again and again and again, if only to remind you of how loved you are. I love you, my dears, as I love myself endlessly, truly, without judgment or control. I love you endlessly, and I will see you soon. Goodbye for now. I know that there's one more. I can feel it. It's like approaching, and it's making me a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, there's a little anticipation. Like, this feels like an aristocrat coming at me. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is so weird. It even feels like like someone in a carriage coming up to me in like Victorian times, and I feel like I'm receiving the queen or something. You know what I mean? You're welcome, you guys. I can ask if there's a demon that wants to come up and talk. Didn't even finish. Of course, duh. There's the attitude I love. This one's got to go first, though. This is bigger stuff, and I can already feel the pinpricks in my eyes. I know I'm going to cry. Oh, I keep getting the same impression of that carriage coming down with the crushed stone. We're all going to get in trouble. I just know it. I can feel it. This is... Oh, we're going to get in trouble. I'm holding back because I'm like, I don't want to be yelled at anymore. What are you doing? What are you actually doing? Fear of your gifts. Are you kidding me? For why? What have we done ever to shake your faith in us? We are fully aware that some of you mistake your ego for us. Say that we're evil, that we're coming to get you, that we hurt you in your sleep, that we attacked you in your childhood. Nothing could be further from the truth. And how dare you say that about us? That was not spirit. What you must understand is your own actions create energy. They create reactions. It could be from 40 years ago or longer, but we have not had enough humans shining their light and doing the work of light workers to transmute such lower energies that you created, that exist in your plane of existence, that you call to you because you somehow find this entertaining. You somehow pay huge amounts of money to watch this happen on TV and in movies. You have entire games set up to scare you, and that should tell you in and of itself how important fear actually is. It's a game and it's entertaining for you. We feel exactly the same way. When we watch you fear your connection with us, some are disheartened and hang their head. Some throw up their hands in momentary frustration and do not understand why you don't get this yet. We have been pounding this same drum for what feels like eons, and yet you cling to your fear, and we would have you understand how ridiculous that is. The relentless need to be entertained by things not entertaining is holding you back from being able to be entertained by things that would actually enrich your lives and help you. Instead, you shoot guns into the air and scare the shit out of each other for what? You could have beautiful technologies that we created, and we would give you again if you would only stop using it to kill each other. It is the most absurd thing that we have ever seen, and many of us do not understand it. Even though we remember a time when our civilizations went through similar growing pains, but we did not cling to these ideas as steadfastly as you do, and we do not understand what the problem is with humanity. Your progression seems to get slower with every time we need to reset you because you play with things that we say no to and use it to harm and hurt each other. We must have you know that technologies developed to harm and hurt each other will never be allowed. It is one of the steadfast rules of this dimensionality, of this planet, of these peoples here we would call humans. When you get to a point of entire global annihilation and cataclysm, we will always intervene because we are allowed to. It is written into the bylaws of this grand experiment, which has caused so much frustration we could not begin to explain it to you. We question why you continue to cling to these ideas when the path is laid in front of you so steadfastly and easily. How many times do we need to tell you before you try, before you step in, before you give it a go? How long must we play this song and dance over again, over again, over again? Some of us are done dancing and our feet hurt, and we have decided to go home, back to our planets, back to our people, to refresh in the energies of our planet that exists in peace. We did not say free of conflict. There is always to be conflict because ideas will always conflict with each other, but we solve them respectfully. Something humanity is very capable of doing, but still decides not to do. Instead, you would let your fear continue to take hold of you, and you would let those who are the most in fear lead you, as if it was some race that those who are the most in fear get to win the population's vote. How dare you give up your power so readily and so easily, and for what gain? Your lives are not easier for it. In fact, pray tell, we would tell you that they are exceedingly more difficult, because the stress levels of this planet have never been higher, even during the COVID plague. The Black Plague saw less stress, anxiety, and worry in the commonplace everyday man as you do now. Yet you are living in a time where you have never been truly safer, truly this spiritually connected in eons. Not since the time of Lemuria have we seen humanity this connected. And although you are a far off cry from Lemuria, you are approaching it, albeit slower than a snail's pace, and we demand answers. Consider it rhetorical. Consider it your wake-up call. Consider it the understanding that some of us are growing long in the tooth with frustration and tiredness. We love you. We will continue to support you. But some of us need to step off this ride for just a moment and enjoy our homeworld, so that when we come back to you, it is if we have come back from a vacation, rested, relaxed, and rejuvenated, and ready to help you again. Ready to deal with the silliness of humanity and the amount of energy you pour into your fear. Please consider these words heavily, for each one was carefully curated and none are taken out of order. We would have you grow up out of your fear today, existentially and exponentially. We would have you face it already and get past it, and remember that it is absolutely 100% imaginary. I fucking told you we were all going to get in trouble. I knew it. Oh, my eyes. Told you guys. That was harsh. I knew it was coming though. I knew it. When I felt like that rumbling of the carriage coming forward and like that higher brow energy, I was like, I got it. I understood it. And someone just said, you. Yeah, I'm fully aware. I'm fully aware that that was coming for me too. I'm fully aware. But I do it scared. I just got what I felt was somebody with a finger to me, like, you especially. Like, Do it afraid. Huh. Uh, mm-hmm. Mm-mm. Yep. Just big trouble. Yes, that's right. I'm in big trouble. They literally just like, don't expect to sleep well tonight. We have things to talk about. Your body's gonna be fine, but your brain is gonna, we have things to talk about. Yeah, I know. Yeah, Sharon, I did. I got read the riot act because they're like, you were put here to lead them. You were taught and put here to speak our word. And you sit there and say, do it afraid. Yes, it helps some, but you should be moving out of your fear by now. And they were talking about how I have a hard time publicizing myself and have, I know, right? And then they were talking about how, like, who cares if it's the same message over and over again? Nobody said you had to give a completely new message every time. And then they actually hit me up on this one. They said, that's someone from the past. That is someone from the past that tells you these things and you believe them. And you let them have purchase in your brain now to keep yourself in fear and to keep yourself small. So if things don't work out, at least you know that you had a scapegoat, that it was all their fault, but it's not their fault. It's your fault now. You're the one who's here to lead them. You're the one who should be working on your fear and dropping it completely. Okay. It's Catman Dude. Where the fuck have you been, friend? All right. I invite you all to feel what I'm feeling and experience what I'm feeling with Catman Demon Dude. Cat Demon Dude. Okay. No man. Got it. It's like, ugh. How are you, bud? Mm-hmm. Please. Go ahead. Your body feels weird. Andrea, your body feels really weird. Bodies are weird. Why do you guys do this? This is like jelly. What? This is gross. Anyhow, hello. I am back. And aren't you so happy to be talking to me? You should be honored to talk to me, because it's not every day I talk to humans. In fact, I stay away from humans, but this one I have a vested interest in because I like her and the fire and the spit behind her. I've been watching her for a very long time. In fact, all of her human existences. And I remember when she was one of the 7 stars that came here to this planet. And I was just a small wisp of a demon energy, not sure where I was going, but exploring these new humans that walked on wobbly feet and were beginning to sing songs and enjoy themselves around campfires that were showing signs of intelligence. And I was wondering how I could fit in and push them around and push them to the light and see what I could get away with. What was I going to do with them? And I remember that thunderous boom that shook the trees. And as I looked up, I saw her. This being that you call Andrea and has had so many names through history. Anawanhala, Christine, so many beautiful names through time. And I have known her and followed her and called to her and been her demon as she wanted me to. And we struck this balance from the first incarnation, where she stood up on wobbly feet and wobbly knees and hips that would not cooperate in a body that felt so strange and small to her, borrowed from a Neanderthal man. I was here with her when she was invited to the drum circle and the fires of the people who are native to this land, of this place. And they sang songs of welcome for her, and they danced and spun. And then those that could shape shift ran into the forest on 4 legs and sprouted hair and teeth that gnashed and bit at anything in the pure joy and revelry of being alive. And I was there on that full moon night where she joined in, and she had so much fun with humanity, where she ran through the forest, made the body fit in a grand silver and white wolf that was so big it was comically out of shape with the rest. And we found this so enjoyable, and I was there when she jumped from that cliff and sailed in the moonlight and turned and spread her feathers, erupting. I was there as I watched her glisten in moonlight and enjoy the freedom of being here on this new land that was so pure and unpolluted and so grand, and the beginnings were magnificent. I know we can't go back to that, but what fun it would be if we could. If we could run through the forest, turning into whatever we liked, and I could float and speed along beside you again. What fun humanity would have if they remembered what's in their DNA, what's there for them, if they let go of this deep line of the mortal coil, if they stopped being so invested in what they were told and instead leaned into what they felt. What a beautiful thing this would be. What a beautiful world you would live. But then again, what use would I have? For my use is to push you to humanity, and your humanity means to love unconditionally, and your humanity, your true humanity, as it was originally written in the doctrination of this planet, is to reach for your light within, to connect in like cables, and to use each other like batteries, like lines of communication in beautiful symphony and harmony, almost as good as the harmony of home. You won't understand that until you cross over, and if you do, I'll be sure to say hi. If I'm not busy, of course. I'll be sure to remind you of how me and my brothers and my sisters and the other beings that you would call demons of the dark energy and be afraid of as everything goes bump in the night. We'll be sure to show you how we actually helped you in this life. Yet we get no respect. We get no recognition, and we are not believed to be anything other than evil, but we would remind you that you created evil and you choose to live in it, not us. You can try, but it still won't change what we are. What we are is here for you. Andrea got the message of why I was there, and she knew, and she relied on me for strength and information, guidance and support. She knew not to fear me, which is interesting, since she feared herself for so long and what she was capable of. But we have let go of that fear now, haven't we, my dear, my darling? And I am so proud of you. You took every push and you used it to head to the light and create with it exactly what I needed you to do. And it was so delightfully delicious. And part of me is sad that we can't continue doing it again, but I'm not going anywhere. I'll still lean in to your ear and remind you. Every time you step off that path or even get close to the edge, I will remind you all. And if it's not me, it'll be my brother or my sister whispering in your ear to push you right back to that path of light. Make us bored, people. For right now, you make us very busy. And busy is not enjoyable. Bored is. Enjoy your evening, humans, and we'll see you soon. Most likely sooner than later. Goober. Fuck, I love that dude so much. Oh. I fucking love that dude so much. I really do. I'm here for it. How many was that? Was that 4 channelings tonight? I feel energized. I don't even feel tired. While I listened to him and I didn't fight him and I wasn't afraid of him, instead I leaned into him so he respects me. Yes. That was 4. I'm bouncing off the walls right now. I haven't been able to have coffee since March 16th at that big spiritual awake, that big energy shift with humanity. I haven't been able to have coffee since then, and I feel wired. But I keep getting the impression of a childlike humanoid covered in leaves, and I know that this is a child of Gaia because when I was going to the bathroom, one of the things they said is I speak for the trees and all of the plants, as well as the bees. I hope we're not rhyming this whole time. Oh my God. I was giggling. Can you imagine, like, Dr. Seuss psychic? Right? All right. Oh. Shocker. Starpoint and Smidge are fighting. They love wrestling and playing with each other. I'm going to have to close my eyes for this one. I speak for the trees, and it's true, I do. Because I was born of Gaia, and I'm here to serve them, and I'm here to serve you. I listen through the woods to the all that is, and I am connected in what you would call the 4th dimension. Gaia exists there, and we feel her footsteps upon this planet so beautifully and magnificently as she walks barefoot, comfortable, with a beautiful white flowing gown made of spider webs and gossamer wings, so light and so airy, just like her. We know it's strange for you to think that your planet is a person, but she is. Just like you, she has a soul and an origin story, and she began similarly to you. She was born of the great creatrix, but she was born for something special. She made this decision herself, and it was not forced upon her. Instead, she was thrust into dark times by her own choice to see how planets and stars are born in that messy and violent process that is so beautiful and twinkling lights of energy. And at some point in her journeys, the call was made to all of the big, beautiful, non-corporeal beings, those that had never tasted physicality before. Those who had come close, like our dear Gaia, were also invited to come to this beautiful, tiny place found in the middle of this floating new universe, this blue pearl in the middle of all the chaos. And at that point, it was teeming with giant lizards. They were so fun to watch, but not connected, not born of us. And so the choice was made. They had to go, for we had plans for this beautiful, perfect pearl. Some of you will think this is not fair, and some of you won't care, but for the rest of you, just know that they evolved. Most of them evolved, and you see them around you every day. Some of them were necessary to keep. Some of them were not. And our beautiful grand creatrix got to work creating all of these beings to live on this planet and enrich it, each one having its place, not in the now, but in the evolutionary cycle. And I have been around since then. I was one of the first born of Gaia, and I knew when she sank into the planet and wrapped herself around and went into slumber as it continued to grow and evolve. I watched as man was born, squalling, with less hair than we thought. And they were so interesting. And I loved watching them from the sides of a tree. And they felt me, but they couldn't see me. And I would go home to the fourth dimension and report back everything I saw to my brethren who were busy caring for the moss and the rocks and the bugs and everything in the fourth dimension for the third. And we must apologize. We know you feel us when you're walking through the forest, all eyes on you, being watched, being seen, and it would raise the hairs on the back of your neck, but there's nothing to fear from us unless you choose to harm our dear mother and the beautiful things that have sprang up from her flesh on this gorgeous planet we call the Blue Pearl. If you choose to harm her, don't be surprised if you trip on a rock that just happened to be there, or a root sticking out that you didn't see. It's a reminder to tread lightly, with respect, to remember you live here. We have become so disheartened with humanity. It's hard to keep up cleaning this place, putting everything in order when you keep changing it. We would have you remember your earth connection. We would have you remember that every time you swat at a fly or a bug, or try to hurt a snake or a spider or any animal here, that comes back on you. You don't see it sometimes, how interconnected you all are. You all share the same energy tubes and lines. When harm is done to one, it goes down the line to all. This is why your food is making you sick. You made your food sick, which made the earth sick. And we must beg of you to change. We must beg of you to stop and be more conscious in your decisions and your awareness of what you put into your body and how you do it, where it comes from and where it goes. We need humanity to live with us. We cannot keep tirelessly fighting against you. Nature will always win because it is written that way. This beautiful pearl will always protect herself when she needs to, when you've pushed her too far. Every time she has had to protect herself so deeply, it has resulted in cataclysm. And it's such a mess. There's so much to clean up. When the trees felled, I told the termites where to go. And my sister brought in the fungus that would break it apart and nourish the forest floor. My brother would bring in the deer to nibble and leave their scat behind. You see, in nature, nothing is lost and everything is used. We would have you remember this, and some of you are feeling it. You're feeling the call to the apothecary, to the healer, to the herbs. You're feeling the call back to nature. You want to hike, you want to camp, you want to sit with us in peace. You want to use us for grounding and centering and remembering who you are, and we invite you to sit with us for a while. We truly love sharing that space with you. And many of us are going to continue reminding you who you are, who you were. The ancient traditional ways are not lost. They've been passed down. And we can't wait to keep whispering it in your ear. So every time you sit by a tree, that's what we do. Whisper in your ear and remind you where you came from, where you're going, and what to do next on this beautiful place we all share. We would have you remember that she is alive and aware, and so are we. We belong together, working together in harmony. And we extend our hands and hope you join us. Not soon. Now. We love you. Be well. And come find us in nature, in the forest.